look at me and my first child, because I was so anti trying to live through her or make her fulfill what I wanted her to fulfill. And I didn't guide her as much as I should have. I look back now because there's times when we have a conversation, she like, Dad, you pulled me out of this and you didn't make me do this, you didn't make me do that. And I didn't, because I didn't want to be some of the dads that I saw. Like, man, I don't want to do that. What up? What up? We are back here again.
Welcome back
To another edition of the Father's Heart Podcast with your boys Sean and Cole and George.
George. So, listen, I've been hearing George. Have you been catching George singing lately? George, what's going on, man?
Let's talk about that. That's my first time singing on here.
No. George,
really?
You sing back in the backstage. You just did a welcome back. Was that welcome back? I heard.
Yes, welcome back, Carter.
It felt right. Yeah, it just felt right at that moment. I didn't think I did it regularly.
No, you gave it the R&B flow.
Yep.
Well, we tease him a lot because we got it. Okay, all right, come on. I like that song.
I love it. What's up, fellas? How y'all been?
Man, real good, man. Coming off the excitement of the release of my book, man. Excited.
Yes.
Made all of the edits that I needed to make. Now we send it back to them, and so we are waiting for the shipment to come in, man. So yeah, I'm excited, bro.
It's that time.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, baby.
Time. Yeah. So listen, fellas,
I brought my Michigan State mug back again because you guys loved it so much. I had to bring them back.
Man, I'm wondering if Sean got a little side deal with State, like because he endorsing that thing. He is endorsing.
I feel like he does.
That wasn't judgment. I'm proud of you if you pulled that off.
Yeah.
Hey, I just didn't put y'all. I just didn't give y'all a cut of it yet. I just didn't give y'all a cut.
Listen, I'm not a hater. If you pull that off, like float that boy across the screen.
Listen, I'm gonna look at my mail. He gonna send me a cup too, so we can all endorse it. So I support you. We'll support it, bro.
Actually, I think that's what we need to start doing. We need to start promoting so we can start getting these endorsements, man. I think that's what we do.
Yeah,
for real.
That'd be sweet. That'd be sweet.
Might as well.
What are we talking about today, man?
Yeah, we can probably sponsor. You know the first one. Do you know the first sponsor I want to get?
What? Who?
Male diapers.
Wasn't expecting that, so I'm just gonna let you. I'm gonna follow your lead on that.
Did y'all see their face? Look at Cole's face.
I'm like,
in left field, like I was not. I mean, I didn't know what I was expecting, but I can assure you, it was not that.
And it was not that for me. But Sean, I have been in the store and I saw a male diaper box, and I thought to myself, man, the models looked really comfortable wearing them.
See?
Yeah.
See, that might be prophetic, yo. See? Watch. The Depends are gonna hit us up. They gonna hit us up.
I'm with that.
See, it depends. How many male podcasters do you think are promoting male diapers? How many?
I would say none.
Thank you.
I'm talking about it. So
Thank you. See, you just don't know.
From that perspective, right? Because it's a untapped market. So I ain't mad at it. Yeah.
So Depends. Holla at the Father's Heart Podcast. We got you.
Yeah. But Sean, I really am curious a little bit about why male.
I wasn't gonna go there because that sounds like personal, so I wasn't gonna ask. But I was definitely curious.
I'm a little like
stunned. I guess you could.
Do you want the honest truth?
Absolutely.
I don't know if we. I don't know if.
No, we want to know.
I don't know if we do. Like
we do. I want to know.
See, now you're gonna feel real bad.
Oh no.
No.
Yep. So you asked for
I just
it.
wanted to know.
No, you asked for it, so now you're gonna feel bad.
Why would I feel bad?
I just left back from Jersey, and my father has Alzheimer's. Should I say more?
No.
Cole?
No, you
listen.
No.
So now Cole should feel bad. My dad has Alzheimer's.
Wanted to know. Okay.
So
moving on. What's the subject for tonight?
Maybe he need him, Cole. So maybe he need him, Cole. Huh?
I was just
get to the subject. Can we get to the subject?
Yeah, awkward.
Oh yeah, George.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Don't worry about it.
George. Man, that's real.
George, I like your face.
I'm ready to crack into the subject. I can get to what we're talking about tonight. And just
George, go ahead, George. What you got? Man,
George, what we talk about tonight, man?
Come on, George, hit us.
I think we got to really talk about.
Did he forget?
Father influence. No, I didn't. Father influence. I wanted to think how I would preface it. A little while back in the news was and our last episode we talked about the nation being split, and this one that I want to talk about is really split, and that's the submersible. And I'm probably not even saying it. Ocean Gate, the submarine that took the billionaires to go and tour the Titanic. And more specifically, we'll talk about where the split happens and the divide happens. But there was a father and son, and I believe the son was 19 years old. And I don't know at right now in the present. I need to go and do some more research, but I don't know the validity of this. But it was being said. It was reported that it was being said by some of the relatives that the son was not super excited about the trip, but he was going as a way to impress his father. And as a result of that, they both, lost their lives. And we, in this podcast specifically, and a lot, I hear about people talking about the positive influence that a father can have on the son. And but we can't talk about that so much without talking about how some of our choices as fathers negatively influence our children. You know what I'm saying? It's super important because I'm imagining what's going through. Well, I'm not imagining, but I could imagine what's going through his mind as he's looking at his father, and they know that their end is coming, and he like, I had a lot of life left ahead of me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm making this choice, based on impressing or gaining approval or gaining validation from you. And as fathers, man, it's enough pressure on us, but I'm going to put a little bit on us and let you know, especially for your boys, you can't be living your life vicariously through your kids. You want to be.
I didn't know you were going to go there.
If you want to do something, or if you want to experience something or something like that, I feel like, and maybe it's just me, I might be alone in this, but I feel like your kids should have a say.
It's good.
Because they are looking for that approval. Or I'll say most are looking for that approval. Most are looking for that validation. So a lot of time our children are doing things they don't necessarily want to do because they don't want to let us down. I'll share this about my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter is my baby. Like, she's 21 years of age. And very early on, and when I say very early on, I'm talking about kindergarten, it was clear that she was above average in intelligence. It was clear. She was scoring off the chain. She was scoring off the chart from kindergarten.
I can agree. I used to be her teacher for a
second. Sure? I think that we met. That's when we met. Yeah, we met. He was her kindergarten teacher, and the scores, and it never stopped. it never stopped. So she was fortunate enough to get accepted into the University of Michigan on a as a fire in high school. So she was doing high school and college courses at the same time. It was a 12th. Well, actually, with that program, high school is typically 4 years, but with that program, it's 5 years because at the end, not only do you come out with your high school diploma, but you have approximately 60 credits, which is the equivalent of an associate's degree.
Yeah.
And it was the middle of her 13th year, her final year, and she came to me. She was broken, and she was like, "Dad, I'm tired. I'm done." She wanted to be done. She wanted to drop out. She wanted to drop out. She had been going hard her entire scholastic or academic career from kindergarten to 13th grade. This was the halfway mark of third, and she was burnt completely out. And so immediately, me, I'm a problem solver. Sometimes to my, what I'm saying. What word am I looking for when you say sometimes it's not my benefit, but sometimes to my detriment? I'm a problem solver. So I'm trying to think of why. I'm not talking. I'm not asking her.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of why. And so what I came up with was last year, all of her friends that she grew up with that went to, traditional high school, they graduated a year before her. Because remember, this is 5 years instead of 4 years. So in my head, I'm thinking she, seeing them kind of living life. They out of school now where she's still getting up and going to school, working a job and stuff every day. So I'm like, what I'm saying? She a little upset about her friends, blah, blah, blah. And so that's what I led with. And I'm trying to just encourage her. You got it. We come this far and blah, blah, blah. And it was not until maybe a month or so later when I asked her what the issue was. I asked her what the issue was. And she started beginning to tell me how she felt like she had missed out on a high school, experience because she was in college from ninth grade to 13th grade. So she didn't get to go to, like, they didn't have like pep rallies and senior skip day and, just all of the things that typically come with that. And I said, well, baby, I'm like, why you ain't saying nothing before now? And she was like, she looked at me, she's like, I ain't want to let you down.
Mm.
So this pressure that she had put on herself was to keep up with, I guess, the image or whatever, however I had been handling her all this time. I set the expectation so super high that she had been tired when she began to tell me how long she had been burnt out and tired of this rigorous, academic schedule and stuff like that. Come to find out, it was years in the making.
Wow.
You know why? And why she didn't say anything. She didn't express herself because somewhere along the line, and I don't know exactly where, because I thought so. What I thought I was giving was encouragement and support. I'm proud of you. Blah blah blah. It's my baby. Blah blah blah. But somewhere along the line, that transition from support to pressure. I gotta do this so I don't let my old man down. My daddy's so proud and he's so enamored and stuff like that. So I'm doing things that I don't want to do and doing things that might have even been difficult for me or doing things that's no longer a joy. To the point where in the middle of the last year, she like, I can't. And she was terrified to say anything then, even though I'm trying to be supportive and like, baby girl, I'm gonna love you regardless, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna do what we can. And she did finish, and we, what I'm saying, the crazy thing about it is her principal at the time was my seventh grade science teacher. So she had, what I'm saying? So it was crazy how that happened. We didn't even know that that was the case. So we was able to talk and everything like that and get things moved around, what I'm saying, just to give her assistance for that last little nudge. But like I'm good. But at that time when that was going on, like that tore me up to know that something in my head I was thinking was good was adding that amount of pressure on her. And then as I really, really began to reflect, I was trying to get her to correct my academic high school because in high school, I got around the wrong crowd. So I was always intelligent, and it was not that I couldn't do the work, it's that I wouldn't do the work. So I completely jacked up my high school and didn't end up even thinking about going to college to maybe about 10, 15 years later out of high school. So in my head, You gonna do it right, blah blah blah. And while I'm acting like or thinking, I'm genuinely thinking I'm doing it for her. I was doing it for me.
George, can I
Wow.
ask you a question?
Good,
Absolutely.
George.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Hmm.
Who helped you come? Was it a friend? How did you come to that conclusion?
Just a lot of self reflection and talking with my daughter, and and what I'm saying, and just like being accountable, and different things like that. And
I'm
ultimately,
so done with y'all right now.
ultimately, we came to that point that what I'm saying, like this is her life, this is her journey. So there is a bright side there. So after school, when she got done, and I had that
Did you
revelation
snort?
or realization, I fell back. I completely fell back, and I didn't say nothing to her about college or anything like that. And so she just went and worked her job, and I'm like, okay, this your journey, blah blah blah. And then maybe a year later, she come in the house with school books. She just needed that break. She took
Yeah.
the break. I backed off, and she went and enrolled herself in college. So it came full circle, but it didn't come according to my plan
Man.
from that I was trying to live through her. The plan that I had for her since when I found out she was smart and genius and stuff like that, I had a plan all the way up to to 30. And the moment I took my hands off and stopped living vicariously through her, letting her navigate and let her work it out, she did
Yeah.
exactly what she needed to do on her timing as an adult, felt comfortable and did and doing quite well. Parents.
Well, George, it sounds like, man, that sounds like how broken boys become. Did I say it right?
Yes. How
Broken
broken?
boys.
Yes. Yes.
I would agree.
Yes.
I would agree. I would agree.
Yes. Yes, it
I would
is.
agree.
It
I would,
is.
I would 100% agree. Living your life through your
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's really not good for you or them because then you're
No.
not reflecting or healing what you got going on, and you're adding unnecessary stress and pressure on them. But yeah,
Yeah.
like that thing told me up when she finally told me what was really going on because I couldn't understand it for the life. I'm like, you've been killing it for 13. What are we even talking about right now?
And it's funny, some of the work I do with parents is really helping them unravel accepting the kiddos that they have versus the kiddos that they want.
Yes,
Um, and so
fire.
that whole
Explain that.
concept.
Explain that,
That's
Cole. You
fire.
can't just pass that. Explain
Yeah,
what that
well,
is.
He
I
did say
mean,
it like he just dropped one on us. Come on with it.
it's really this idea that I had this hallmark version of what my child's experiences when we're going to be in life. My child's going to do all of these things. I'm going to do all this stuff, and then you start to see that, oh no, my son is actually choosing not to go to a university. My son is choosing not to go to medical school. My son is choosing
Yep.
a completely different lifestyle than the lifestyle that I have reared him under or her under, and now I don't understand what is happening. And so it's like, how do we begin to just simply accept the kids as they are when recognizing that I think it was either George, it was you in our last episode talking about this idea of that we are raising humans,
Yeah.
not people that we can control and navigate their world through ours. But we have a responsibility to just set guardrails up for our children, but allow them to have the opportunity to pick and choose and explore the world with the guardrails that we have in place. So we're supposed to be guiders, not controllers. And I think it really becomes important for us as fathers to really understand that, but also do the work that's required that you're talking about, George, is that this self-reflective assessment of our own childhood experiences and where are we learning this stuff? And that requires really intentional work because I mean that's after how do I navigate understanding my own self when I'm working a 9 to 5, when I'm juggling all of these other responsibilities in my life, but still figuring out how am I making these decisions and choices. But it really becomes us taking these assessments of ourselves and being willing to gather the tools and the information to become better men for our children. So I mean, George, that's an amazing story that I think so often goes unheard in the lives of parents overall. We just have this Hallmark version sometimes of like,
Yeah,
man, this is what our
And
kids are
that's
going to
it.
become.
That's real,
that's it.
Cole. And you know what I can what I what I can attest to, that there's two sides to it, right?
Mm,
So that's that side that George talks about where he had these expectations and wanted to have his daughter, pursue a certain career or whatever the case, right? But then I look at me and my first child,
mm,
because I was so anti trying to live through her or make her fulfill what I wanted her to fulfill. And I didn't guide her as much as I should have or
mm.
participated,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Because I look back now, and because there's times when we have a conversation, she like, Dad, you pulled me out of this and you didn't make me do this, you didn't make me do that. And I didn't, because I didn't want to be some of the dads that I saw. Like, man, I don't want to do that. And so who suffered was my daughter, right?
yeah,
Because I didn't just become the best version of me, and I didn't become who she needed me to be in those moments. I just threw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm saying
Yeah,
I'm just not doing any of that. And I look back and we have these conversations now, right? Where I had to go back and I had to apologize to her about why I did what I did or didn't do, right? And so I can't make up that time, but what I am is I am very intentional in what I do on how I navigate her now, right? Because she does, I know as a result of me not being super engaged early on, she has a desire for quality time, for affirmation, because I didn't give her that early on. And so
yeah,
as an adult daughter now, that's what she needs from me. And so because I didn't give that to her when she was younger, some of the way that she date and some of that type of stuff, I see it. Like, man, that's because I neglected to give her certain things when she was younger. And so now I am very intentional and very aware on how I engage. We'll be in the mall or we'll be sitting down, and I can tell she needs my touch. She needs my affirmation. She needs, we go out, we shopping. I'm getting the young people, even though she doesn't really supposed to get or really don't deserve it because she's older, right? She can do it for
yeah,
herself. But I still know that little girl in there still desires
yeah,
the daddy's touch that I didn't give her when she was younger. And who fault was that? It was mine, right? But what I do, we talk about it now to know where that comes from, right? So she doesn't have to just navigate by herself. Like, man, why am I like this? Why do I need this? Nope, I can tell you why, and I can tell you a lot of it came from me of what I didn't do. So that's the opposite of George, where you got somebody like me who didn't
yeah.
be
So I
super
was
engaged.
helicoptering.
yeah. So Sean, you just said something that I think is I want to point out. Right, you used the word that was my fault. Now, are you saying it was your fault because you were cognizant and aware of it, and you were choosing not to provide that? Or are you saying it was your fault because you now can see the results of not providing that for her and then feeling some of the, I'm going to use the word shame, that can be associated to that?
The latter, the latter.
Okay.
It's that
Okay.
because when I got older, when I became more aware of it, I can now make the connection. It was because I was ignorant. So it wasn't because I was intentional about that. I was intentional about not living vicariously through her or making her do stuff. And I thought that was the best way to parent. But
Yeah,
now, as I gotten older, I realized, like, man, I just threw everything away. And
yeah.
so
Too
I
little.
say it from the
There wasn't no
standpoint,
middle ground.
yeah, it was no middle ground. So I say it's my fault from a position I see the result, but not from an intentional place that I wanted to hurt her or cause her
Yeah.
any harm or neglect. So I appreciate you asking that question for clarity for people to understand that.
Yeah, and I asked that question because I feel like fault is such a strong word when it comes to parenting, and that knowing that parenting is oftentimes things that we're learning along the way, and that there's a in fault feels shame, and so I just wonder how you're processing that, because shame is a real parental shame is huge, and I don't
Yes.
even think it's something that we talk a great deal about. But I recognize when I hear the word fault, that means somebody has to own this in a shameful kind of way, and I just want to encourage you to speak to that, because I think a lot of times we use that without realizing that no, that's something that you can get rid of,
Yeah.
because it wasn't intentional. It was you living
I
with the
like that,
knowledge
Cole.
that you currently had, and you were operating out of that knowledge to the best of your ability to do what you thought was best for your child. And so I just want to encourage you in that
Yeah,
space as it
no,
relates to
I appreciate that, Cole. I
yeah,
appreciate
yeah,
that because I'm telling you, like with all four of mine, I could go back and specific things like that, and that's exactly how I take it. That was my fault. That was my fault. That
yeah,
was my fault. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And I think that's just our first. I think that's just our first response. Like, man, I
yeah,
could have did that because I mean, you
yeah,
have children, man. You like at least for the parents that I know and the parents that I surround myself with, you want your children to at the very least supersede what you've done and different things like
absolutely.
that. And when they don't, or when it looks like they're not going to, for me, I guess I'll just talk for me. I said about the people that but for me, fault and guilt is typically the first thing. But like, and it's funny that you said it the way you say it because I say it all the time when I'm talking to a client. Like, you can't hold yourself accountable for stuff you didn't know. I say it all the
Yeah,
time, but
Wow.
it's a little bit
Wow.
harder. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got clients that will attest to that. Like,
yeah,
wait a minute, you give
yeah,
me grace all the time.
yeah,
How you not giving that to yourself? And but it's hard to do. It's
yeah. It's
hard when it
we're
when it's
really
when
good
it's
at
when it's you the man in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah,
just super hard to do. And I'm
yeah,
like, but I just hearing you, I needed to hear you say that for me. I needed to hear you say I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that a lot because guilt
yeah.
and fault is the first two things when I'm looking at my four babies and something ain't going just right or different like that. I try to find myself. How did I cause that, or how did I create that? And sometimes, well, actually, most times, I ain't gonna say all the time, but
Hold on,
most
George.
times,
George. Hold on, Sean. You're not looking in the camera.
Yeah, listen, because you know what
You-
the shame. Listen, this is the thing. The shameful thing about it is because I'm sitting here writing down some darn notes that you guys are sitting here, and I know I shouldn't be, but I'm like, they are dropping jewels. I'm sorry. I'm such a speaker. I'm such a speaker. I'm like, no, I'm taking this. I'm taking that.
I'm against this. No, man, I'm serious, man.
here's the thing, fellas. I'm really glad that this is recorded because my chicken, I believe, is burning, and I need to go get it.
Man,
So
man, listen,
So what you say, George? Because my man said his chicken was burning.
I
Look
think
at.
George is
I
froze.
think George. Oh, he's back because he was
He back.
frozen. He was frozen.
Yeah.
all three of y'all was
He,
froze. Everybody was froze for a minute, but like, no, man. We was talking about that. I look at my one of my babies at least once a day when something ain't going just right, and I'm like, man, how could I did that? But Cole, you said something. I'm telling you, not all the time, because sometimes I knew better, but most of the time I was
yeah.
only operating off of what I knew at the time,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
choices I made, the things that I implemented, the things that I said was what I thought was best according to my knowledge of the situation at the
Yeah.
time. And so to hold myself accountable now that I know more, like, man, I didn't know that then. So
Yeah.
it's a whole bunch of stuff. My oldest is 21, which means that I was 20, I'll be 45. I mean, I was 22, 23. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I know now that I
Yeah.
did not know then. Had I known, I would have done differently. But it's absolutely, it really logically and rationally don't make any sense for me to keep going back, man, saying I should have did this instead of that. I didn't know to do that,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
And so
You know what
and
I'm
so
saying? So
one
I
of the things I
appreciate
tell no man, because one of the things I tell myself and I tell other people, at some point we just have to stop shooting on ourselves.
yeah,
Like we really have to stop that. And
that's
that's
fire.
it's important that we stop that
Did we
because
stop what?
we stop shooting on ourselves.
Okay,
You know,
I
he
like
said,
that. I like that.
yeah,
No, I never heard it.
it's fire.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
Cole,
yeah.
you said a couple. Man, I'm. We haven't had any uh, horns lately. You know what I mean?
That was
We
one. I didn't know if you had it. I
well,
didn't know if you had it on you. That's why I didn't say nothing. But that
hey,
was definitely horn worthy.
yeah. Well, I can tell you why we haven't had any horns lately because we haven't been on the podcast lately. So
Yeah,
let's.
yeah,
That would be.
That's why.
yeah. No, that's good. That's good, y'all. That's good.
No, that's good.
So,
Cole.
whew, man,
If you're out there listening and you can relate to anything that was just said, like give yourself some grace. You
yeah,
only knew what you knew in regards
yeah,
to parenting, because I say this and I'll say this till I close my eyes the last time. There is no manual to this parenting stuff.
man.
When I was there when all four of them came out, and not one time did a doctor or nurse or somebody come up to me and be like, okay, here you go, just follow step A, B, and C,
Well,
and you'll be good.
there is a manual. There
Okay.
is a manual. They
Come
just
on.
haven't bought it yet.
Ooh.
Cole, if I'm not mistaken, isn't there a manual to parenting that's out there? Cole, don't you have a manual? Don't we have a manual? What's the? Don't we have a manual out there? I know I have a manual at
So,
my office that I got from you. So don't try to.
so, so what I was gonna say, Sean. So I'm
Oh,
glad. I love how you brought that in there, right? Because I do agree with George. I don't think that there's a manual for your individual specific child, but
okay.
I do think that there are a host of tools that are available that's universal in helping you understand children overall. And I think that what we have to do in this field, kind of, I mean, like your book, George, and your book too, Sean, and my comic book, and all of these other things. These are tools that I think parents have to be willing to
Yeah.
utilize to best equip them as it relates to providing support for themselves and their children. And I think what's interesting is parenting is the one thing you do not have to get any type of accreditation for. There,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just do it and you hope that it all turns out well. But I think that as parents, we have a responsibility not only for ourselves, but also to our children to do the real research that is required for us to be well in our roles in guiding our children. And the truth of the matter is, I always tell people, man, there are thousands of books and
For
DVDs and
sure. For sure.
webinars. And I mean, there is a host of things out there, almost to the point that it can be paralyzing. But there's so much information out there. We just have to be willing to take the time to be intentional to do the work, so that we become better equipped to show up in the ways that our children need us, but also to show up for ourselves as we heal from our own learned experiences of what it is like being a child being raised by adults who may not always have the tools. So, yeah, I've got a curriculum called Son to a Father for young fathers who are experiencing finding out that they're a dad at 13 and finding out they're a dad at 14, 15, and 16, and really learning how to understand themselves as well as a new child, and as well as overall, what does it mean to be a 14, 15-year-old teenage parent in a world that oftentimes don't see teenagers as parents at all.
Mm,
So, yeah, yeah,
mm, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I like that, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So,
I had to put that out there. Yeah, I mean, but I ditto your statement, Cole, about there's no curriculum out there to address each individual child, but there are definitely plenty of tools out there, right, that we
yeah,
can use to help us during this journey. And
yeah,
in real talk, like just think about the book "Broken Boys Become Broken Men." I look at, and some things I didn't share in here, I'll put in part two, because it was very sensitive, right? And had
yeah,
to figure out a way, how do we address that? But one of the things that a sensitive subject that George has written on is in his material, that he and his wife, man, was able to write together, right? Co-write, to help couples and families on how to grow through very, very bad situations that take place in relationships, right? When you're parenting, when you're trying to stay in love, when you're trying to partner as a couple, right? And they wrote, Stained, and what is the other one, George?
Thing too.
And Stained too, right? And the second one, that was from her perspective, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, and this is it is and it's not, right. It is a plug for our stuff, but it is not a plug because I really believe in the stuff that we produce because I know our heart and I know what our passion, what our mission is. That this stuff was birthed out of solving a problem. It wasn't birthed out of trying to generate revenue, right?
Yeah.
So although I'm a high economic and want to secure all types of bags, but at the end of the day, one of my highest motivators is helping and healing people. And I can attest that that is what ours are, what ours is as a collective. And that's why we do this work of coming every single week, just giving out value, just trying to empower people. We say we want sponsors. We don't have them yet, but I decree that we'll get them, right? But we don't have sponsors yet. So we're doing this because we love it. And, just keeping it 100, man. We earn thousands of dollars to stand on the stage and speak to people. And we come here each week and do this without a return from anybody. This is just something that we give out. And so, yeah, I said it, and I'm not apologetic about what I just said. I don't know how I got here, but I'm not apologetic about what we are doing each and every week. So yeah.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
So yeah, let's get to this. Let's get to this legit or not legit. I know you have one this week, Cole.
Yeah. So so the beard game stay strong, and I mean you got two guys to your left and to your right, Sean, right? That beards are pretty gray, right? We just
a sign of wisdom,
and at one point,
That's
Sean, if we play back some of our episodes, yours was, there were some highlighted grays there, but now it's all black. So
no, it's not. It's not all black.
Oh, but you have to get very close to the camera in order to see.
You see that? You see that?
Really close. Yeah, like I see it.
Like real close.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
You dyed it. So I'm wondering, is it legit or not legit for men, middle-aged men?
Okay, I mean, I think that's fair.
Come on.
Middle-aged men to still use dye to, dye their hair. I'm just interested in wondering what's your thoughts about that. Legit or not legit?
Oh, legit or not legit? Let me think about it. I think it's absolutely legit.
I would say legit. I think it's like Sean on our last episode, he spoke very clearly about in his book about wearing masks, and I think it just takes away from some of the authenticity and some of the genuineness of a person when they do these things to alter their natural, appearance or whatnot. So I'm gonna say it not legit for me. Sean, I'm sure you have some input. Let's hear what you have to say.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss this matter. I've had these
because this is a real matter.
I'm sorry.
It is a real matter. It's a real matter.
Yes. It's a real matter. I had this discussion here at my home. So my wife, is another one who's just like, baby, why are you dyeing your hair? My kids, why are you dyeing your hair? Let me tell you something. In my space and the people that I speak to, right, is that the receptive part of it, right? When I'm going to elementary school and I'm speaking, being relatable to my demographic that I'm speaking to, and I just believe, me personally, that is a part of my brand and is a part of what the way I portray myself. That is a part. in the way my beard, if it was gray, if it was a little bit like, yours, Cole, bigger, and if it went with my brand and my style, the way I
Yeah.
dress and all that, maybe I'll take it. But the way that my style and my target audience, I don't think it go with my brand. So I just chose to not wear it. Yeah.
So would it be fair to say that your wife and children are not your target audience, or that your ministry is not at home first, or because there's a wise man that has a saying, and he says he talks about being a public success and a private failure. So like, I just so I'm trying to understand from what your vantage point. Like that's
great question.
That's good.
No, it's a very good question.
That's
it's
a good question.
It's a very good question. So so my response would be to that is that how I dress or how I wear my beard is not a reflection on how I engage and how I show up with my quality time and how I love on them and how I provide for them and how I show up for them. So the thing about it is that if they don't receive me for me, right? Like, so when a woman
I was with you till you said that part.
I'm just saying.
So that is you. The gray is you.
So no, but I choose that I don't want to wear the gray, right? And so my thing is, if I don't want to wear the gray, just like a woman may dye her hair red or she dye it gold because she want a different color. Mine is coming in gray. I don't like the way the gray go with me, so I'm like, I'm gonna keep it black. So now maybe if it grow, it'll be bigger, or when I get older, maybe I'll embrace the gray. But right now, your boy not ready for that, and so I just rock out with it. You know what I mean? And so I proudly tell people, this is. They're like, it's dyed, and I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? See, and that's the thing. Like, I'm very open and transparent with it.
Yeah. No, I appreciate.
I do want to say this. Like, we having a good time. Like, because
yes, absolutely. Come on, bro.
I know but I'm saying, like, for anybody listening, like, people are free to do what makes them feel best for whatever they got going on. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I wanted mine for so long, but I had no idea it was coming like this. I used to have like a streak right here, and I thought that was the greatest thing. And then I woke up one day and I'm Frosty the Snowman down here, but I love it. And you know what I'm saying? And that's me. And anybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't ever want to like seriously shame anybody for whatever you feel you need to do for what you got going on. So I wanted to say that because I'm jugging and I'm going back and forth with my brother. Like, your family, everything he said, I can attest about how he provide and the quality time and the things that he do and how he shows up for his family. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of men that I try to surround myself around.
And I think this is a good conversation to have, because I think, again, it shows the vulnerability of men, because it's often said that men don't even talk about their appearances. They don't talk about how they might feel, or there's not spaces to talk about, well, what, I'm not comfortable with the way that I look, or I don't, this looks best on me. And I'm going to alter this because that supports me. And like, I mean, this conversation is important because we also talking about aging. And for some apparent reason, when people see gray, they associate that with, oh, okay, you are old. And so there is this idea that being old is there's something wrong with that, some aspects. But it was hard for me to get here. I got gray shamed. I was being shamed. Like, you gonna let that show? You growing that out? You letting people see your gray? I'm like, well, what should I do? I'm like, I'm comfortable with this.
Sounds like,
no, but his look good. No, but his look good. But both of y'all's look good with that gray. Both of y'all's look good.
But I think you're right too, Sean. If my beard was sitting up here somewhere, I don't know, or if I might be like, oh no, that I'm not rocking that. But I think it really is individualized. But we should also have the freedom.
Absolutely perfect.
With ourselves, our body. So no, I thank you for. I think it's legit. because I think we all have
I do have one question, Sean. What do you do in the rain?
Huh?
Oh,
Like
what?
what do you do? No, like
I never heard that before.
no. What does it like? Do it go down your neck or what do it the dye?
I don't wear mascara in my beard. It's dyed, just like any other woman dye her hair. So no, it doesn't. It doesn't bleed. It doesn't get on my clothes. Absolutely not.
I'm dead. I'm sorry.
See.
And on that note,
see, that's all right. I got you, bro. I got you. I got you.
Well, brothers, listen, it's been good.
Question. I wanted to know.
I got you.
Look, it's been great. We gotta wrap it up.
I didn't leave. I didn't leave. My camera just went off.
I thought you jetted.
Oh man.
All right, man.
Fellas. We gonna kill it this last half of the year.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Good one.
Right,
see y'all later, man.
Yep.
All right.